Good day, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video. My name is Chief Dog 74, and let's get into this one. So today we are back on a beautiful game known as Gran Turismo 7, and I've got a bunch of races lined up for you around the Nurburgring 24-hour, which is a daily race C at the moment, and it will be for the rest of this week up until this Monday, where it will change again. But yeah, decided to come back to Gran Turismo after a break, and back to making videos after I've now finished my college course, which I'm quite happy to be off from and have a break from. But yeah, on screen here you can see me getting back into Gran Turismo and back into racing around the Nurburgring 24-hour circuit. And this is my best qualifying time. So in case you're unaware of what this circuit is, this is one of the longest circuits in the world. The lap is about 8 minutes for the fastest people, and then about 8 minutes 30 for people like me. So it's an incredibly long lap. It's got 170 turns, and it is incredibly easy to make a mistake. So much so they made a 24-hour race in real life that drivers can do, and that was on last Sunday and Saturday. So yeah, it's a very historic track, and one that is incredibly hard to race on. But we were able to get an 8-minute 29 lap for the races ahead, though wasn't able to. Well, that was later on. But in this my first races, unfortunately, I got a braking zone wrong and went straight into this McLaren. So yeah, had to try and get the position back. And then I actually got a bit of karma and got hit in the rear end by someone. So I apologise to the McLaren, but I was just a bit rusty and wasn't able to brake at the point where I was supposed to brake in. So that was how one of my races went. We've got a few lined up here. The second race that we're going to look at today was eventful, because I got punted off and then did close to a 720 spin. And we can see from onboard this driver's view how he decided to murder me. Yeah. He did get a penalty for it though, which I guess is the penalty system doing its job. But this is another race that I did for Daily C, and this time we were starting third, despite having the same lap time. But this time I was dropped down to driver rating C, because I wasn't doing very well in B, which sucks. But I was able to claw back up to B later on through the week. By the way, we're in the Mercedes AMG from 2020, which is the newest race car to be added to Gran Turismo. And of course I loved the other Mercedes, so to have this one is quite good, and I think it's good, if not better than the last one. So yeah, glad to see it's in the game. And yeah, this is another race here, going down into turn 1, and the guy in second has been kamikaze dive bombed on by a GTR. So I was able to get that move pretty easily done, simply because the opponent got destroyed. So not the hardest overtake I've done in my life, but we'll have a replay of this, because this was criminal. Really, the way he dived in on this guy. And yeah, sucks to be the guy in second. But this was the view from the divee. and then we have him trying to go back on track and causing even more chaos. Plenty of people with penalties up ahead and slamming into each other and all of this and that. So yeah, it was a pretty chaotic race, and then this was the view from the guy in second. Yeah, not a lot you can do if there's someone just barreling into turn one like that. Apologies also if you can hear some of the shifts when it's on the live cam, like here, as well as if maybe I sniffle a bit because I feel like I've got maybe a small cold, or it could be hay fever, I'm not entirely sure. But nonetheless, back to this race, and we are still in second, trying to catch this Swiss driver up ahead in the Alfa Romeo. And he's obviously quite quick because he did a pretty decent lap around here for his qualifying lap, that is, because he started first and he's staying in first. And the guy in third is still right on my tail, so pretty interesting race. Well, I mean, he was in third behind me, but now he's gone straight forward rather than turning right on a right-hander and has gone into the gravel. So unlucky for the guy behind, who he got taken out, and then he almost took out me. But fortunately, I was able to see him come in, and I was able to take avoiding action. This was the move, or the mistake, should I say, from the driver behind, as he just gets on the grass there. You do need to let off a little bit on there, I've found, but some people haven't quite grasped that idea yet, or perhaps forget, because of course, like I said, there's 170 turns here. It's quite easy to make a mistake on a few, and he's made a mistake on another 2, almost 3. So yeah, not great driving from the Toyota car here, but almost spins it again out of that exit. But on to lap 2, because of course this is 2 laps. If you think about it, it's about 8.5 minutes per lap. So of course there can only really be 2 laps for a 17 minute long race. So yeah, it was all about trying to keep up with this guy, and something that I found is that I was getting pulled away from on the second half of the lap, but on the first half of the lap I was actually pretty decent and was able to be good enough to catch up to the car in front, as well as also it helps when they make mistakes, like we saw at the Schumacher S's on the GP part of the 24-hour layout. It was all just about trying to keep up with the guy in first. Second wasn't an issue because he was 13 seconds behind. But as you could see, I was starting to reel the Swiss driver in the hopes of making perhaps a move. Though of course this track it's known for being quite narrow as well, quite hard to overtake on. It does help to have a good qualifying lap here. But I mean, you can definitely fight through the field if you're a lot quicker than some of the other cars. You just need to find places to overtake and capitalize on mistakes that they make. But unfortunately, he again pulled away in the second half of the lap, which I cannot be like fast on. It's just way too technical for me, and I haven't found the lines out. So it was a second for this race, but still the best finish that I'd have so far on this daily race, and in a while as well, because I did the daily B before, but I just wasn't able to get a good race, and so that's how I started to plummet down to C. But with a second position and a clean race star badge, that will definitely help keep my ranking up for C going into B for the driver rating, and then S for the safety rating. But I said that it was a nice race between us two, and he said it was a nice race as well, so I said thanks. So, there are some good drivers in Gran Turismo, but equally, as this race will show, there's also some not annoying, but just not great drivers that can really ruin your race. So yeah, it's as you could see behind, there was a lot of carnage that ensued behind me. But this is the 4th race that we're looking at today then, and I started 6th and couldn't really find any moves into turn 1 or many of the other corners after turn 1. But there you go, that's sometimes how the race is. You just need to try and capitalize on other people's mistakes. As this guy ahead makes a mistake as well, and the Mercedes. Now, I wanted to go for a move here because obviously you're going to be faster after someone's just dipped themselves into the grass. But I sort of made a move over the hill, and then it caught me off guard, and I slammed straight into the wall as I tried to correct my spin. But I was unable to in the end, and then someone almost rear-ends me as they forget to lift off there. So yeah, it sucks because it is a bit of my fault, but at the same time I sort of wish he'd sort of let me by since he was going to be slower. But yeah, that was close for the Toyota driver, who he almost takes out another Audi as well, to be fair. So yeah, it's not been great, but there is a guy ahead that spun, and then there was the guy that he decided to cut across that corner, I guess, I don't know. And then there was some tyre smoke ahead which suggested that another driver had spun. And then there was more carnage as 2 drivers came together. This Italian driver in the Alfa Romeo decided to go back into the racing line after just crashing into the wall. And then he did something which I absolutely despise, and he brake checked me. It's incredible, so I just decided to dive down the inside and nudge him into the wall, which surprisingly didn't get me a penalty. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, if we have a look at the guy, you can see on his braking input, I go back over it again here, but yeah, this guy just seemed to be dirty, and I couldn't be bothered to deal with him. As you can see, he brakes here on a straight. I go into the back of him, and then I just thought, yeah, okay mate, I'm just going to dive down the inside, and then I put him into the wall, and that was that. But yeah, it's in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done that as I overtake the Audi there, but maybe I shouldn't have hit him, but it didn't matter in the end. I still hit the wall, and that was that race done. But yeah, a lesson to you all: do not brake check other drivers. It's terrible, and I just had enough. I was like, oh, for God's sake, get out of the way. So shoved him into a wall, which yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done, but there you go. That's what I did. So anyway, into the 5th race of this video, and this is yet another successful one. Not so much dirty, but more successful. So into turn 1, looked on a move for the Chevy in my Mercedes AMG with a custom livery that I made. So maybe in the comments let me know if you want me to share this livery, and then you can race with it too, I guess. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with how these sort of liveries come out, but chaos ensues in front as the 2 leaders collide coming out of that hairpin corner, and into the next hairpin corner, out onto the exit here. We got the Ferrari looking for the move on the Chevy, but he hangs the Chevy out wide and ends up turning right when, it should have been keeping himself straight forward. I looked to make a move on the Chevy, but I was unfortunately unable to. and yeah, chaos once again at the start, but it soon started to die down as I tried to keep up with the Chevy here. He goes a bit wide onto this corner, and I thought I'd have a run into him, but I guess the Chevy's straight line speed is just a bit too much for my Mercedes, because I wasn't able to make a move into this next chicane. That was something that I noticed as well, is that the Mercedes is pretty good off the corners, but down the straights it's not as good, unfortunately. But the Toyota behind me, the Supra that is the best car around this track, I'd say. The Genesis is also a decent car, but not when you drive it like that, since once again it's the same mistake. You need to go, like, lift off the throttle a bit as you go through this corner, and unfortunately he doesn't, and then just, well, actually he does, but he just brakes way too late, looking to make a move, comes back on track, and then hits another Supra car with a Cadbury's blooming caramel chocolate bar livery on it, and then that's him sent all the way down the order there, unfortunately. But that'd be a lesson to you all, to make sure that you look at your braking points. I know that, everyone makes mistakes, but, be extra careful, especially on that corner. That corner's like, or the corner that he went off on is particularly tricky, I've found. But we've got a fellow Mercedes behind us. Well, two cars behind us, I guess. And he's looking to make a move on the Supra here. He sees a gap, goes for the switchback, and looks to make a move down the inside of this corner. Hangs the Toyota out wide, but the Toyota's just able to stay ahead as I try and make a move on the Chevy, but unsuccessful since two cars cannot go into that corner very well. And then this Toyota makes a massive mistake and lets past the Mercedes, basically, for a free position for them. So it's Chevy versus two Mercedes, and I was hoping that this guy would work with me, and then perhaps I can overtake the Chevy, and then he can help I can help getting past them as well. But I made a mistake there on that corner, and then down this straight he just had so much more straight line speed, probably because of the slipstream. I thought he was going to make a move there, hence why I braked a bit earlier for that corner, whereas perhaps I'd let off, but he backed out of the move, which was a good decision. And then into this corner, I completely forgot my braking point. I went straight into the wall there when I should have been turning right. But another mistake that happened on the last lap, on pretty much one of the last corners that you can make a mistake on, was the leader, the Chevy, going into the wall, and that allowed me and the other Mercedes to get past, and it resulted in me getting yet another second. So far we've had 2 seconds and a lot of different positions below that. I wasn't able to get a win. Maybe if I do through the rest of the time that we have on this daily race, then I'll make a video about that. But so far I've only got 2 seconds, and that was that. But those 2 seconds were good enough to get me back into B-rated lobbies, which is, of course, the higher I get, the better it is, and the cooler it is when I go to race at the Manufacturers Series, because I'll be in the second league rather than the third league. So I was happy that I'm back in B. But onto this final race, believe me when I say this was absolute carnage. Down into turn 1, and I get rear-ended out of nowhere by a Subaru, and that has sent me all the way to the back of the grid, 16th out of 16th. Though fortunately not too far away from the rest of the pack, as we got a Mercedes, a BMW that just decided to park it there for some reason. Not sure why, but just decided to let everyone else get past. I don't know why, but there you go. This was, again, the race start. So you're looking for the black car in the background. Oh, well, you can't see it now, but you can see it there as it goes straight into my side. And this was the onboard from him. So yeah, just braking like terribly and going straight ahead and getting off better than it for me. But he did get a 5-second penalty for that, which is of course what you want to see. Still in the first lap, and we have more carnage as 3 cars collide with each other and open the ways for me to get a triple overtake coming out of that corner. And then more chaos ahead as cars are colliding everywhere in front of me. Of course, this is the back of the grid, so you are going to have more chaos ahead. And then going into this corner, I knew this guy was going to do something shady, and he did. He went straight down the inside with a decent amount of contact to push me out wide. So not too happy with this Porsche, but there you go. I sort of expected it because of the driving that I saw in front of me. And then we have a big hold up in front of us as we go through this chicane. We've got a Toyota that spins out, another Toyota that's missed his braking point, and that is us up 2 places in basically a corner. And I think we should reflect on all the chaos that we've had here. So as you can see, the Mercedes hit the Porsche then hit another Porsche, and then they all just sort of got slowed down, and I was able to just go straight through. So yeah, chaotic start to this 24-hour Grand Prix layout. And then going down into this corner, and then a bit of a delay before the next right-hander. You can just see that this Porsche was just going to make a move, and he did, and then slammed me out wide a bit. So yeah, it's annoying when people don't play as fair as you'd like it, but I guess also I've made some terrible moves in my time, so maybe it's a mistake, maybe it's on purpose, I don't know. And then there was more chaos ahead as we see a Toyota, like, I don't know, he seemed to like get off the curb a bit wrong, and then the other Toyota just missed his braking point pretty much, and then that was that for their races basically. We've got a GTR ahead that goes off of the track, comes back onto the racing line, and makes me collide with him. And then slows me down here as well, and I was just getting so frustrated at this massive wide car in front of me. Ends up making a mistake though, because he gets the corner all wrong, and I'm able to get past him. But oh my god, another lesson, guys. I know I'm being like a teacher here, but please, just don't go onto the race line after you've had a collision. Just leave it out. And then yeah, onto this straight. I did think about making a move here, and then sort of backed out of it a little bit because I knew what this Porsche was like in terms of how he is in his driving style, and so just staying behind him for the moment. But there's more chaos ahead. Like I said, this race was carnage, and plenty of people going wide, locking the brakes, getting things all crossed up, bunching up. And all the while this was of course helping me out a bit, because it meant I could get a decent position for the conclusion of this race eventually, because of course long lap, plenty of chances for them to make mistakes, and to be fair yourself. But yeah, going into this corner though, and the guy that knocked us off got it all wrong and went colliding into this Porsche. I tried to go past the two, but they were sort of blocking the way, and that allowed for the GTR to get through, which I wasn't particularly happy about, but had to sit behind for the moment. Everyone gets cleanly through this corner, fortunately, unlike perhaps the Italian in the Alfa Romeo from a few races ago. But we all start to get a bit bunched up here, and I could sense that something terrible was going to happen. And my sensors were right, because as we go into this corner, you can just see the Porsche get slammed out, and then I wasn't looking and went straight into the back of this GTR twice, make it 3 times here as he's just a bit squirrely off the exit, and that gives me a 2-second penalty, which is, yeah, I don't know how I got a penalty for this and not the Alfa Romeo collision, but it sort of caught me off guard here, and it allowed for this Porsche in the Golf livery to get past me. So yeah, chaotic scenes once again around the Nurburgring 24-hour. All of this, and rain was potentially an option for this race, though it never did come when I raced, unfortunately. I never made it, so I needed to use the intermediates. But we looked for a move on this Porsche into a risky corner, and unfortunately I collided with him a little bit. I think I couldn't really tell whose fault it was, but ended up going into the barrier, but didn't lose too much time. Was still in viewing distance of the Toyota and the Porsche up ahead that had collisions. So we weren't out of this yet, but definitely wasn't doing amazingly well in 11th when it's about halfway through the first lap. Of course, we still do have another lap to go as well after this, but we'll have a quick recap over this basically entire lap of carnage. So again, this guy just goes straight back into the racing line for some reason once he's had a collision. Then we have these two having a collision, and you know, I looked for a move but got it sort of all wrong, and that allowed the GTR to get through and ahead. And then into here again, more collisions as the Alfa Romeo liveried Porsche gets taken out by the guy that I got taken out of at the start of this race, and then again wasn't paying attention entirely and hit into the back of this GTR a few times, thus resulting in a 2-second penalty for myself. And then this Porsche in the Golf livery saw a move and took it, which, you know, is fair enough. He's completely in his right to do so. In fact, I'd say it's a pretty good move to go around the outside, and I just wasn't able to get back past him. But into this corner again, I tried to make a move, and then I can't tell who's done it here, who's done this murder, but yeah, wasn't great either way. The guy that punted me off, though, got punted off himself, I guess, or made a mistake. And then the Porsche that maybe punted me off, I'm not sure, made a mistake out of the curb on that exit. And then that allowed me to get past the GTR, as he was a bit starstruck, I guess. And then we're up behind this Subaru with his hazards on for some reason, and a 5-second penalty. More yellow flags are ahead as we make our way through this very fast-paced section. Unfortunately, I don't really know many corner names or straight names because they're all in German and I wasn't really remembering them. Plus, I mean, there's 170 of them, so it's very hard to remember without like a track map with the names of the corners all over it. But 6th is in sight here, so I sort of make a little mistake on the mini carousel. But yeah, 6th is in sight here in the Porsche. Not one of the Porsches we've really seen too much of. But he was definitely a quick driver. I think he just had some issues, and that was why he got a 1-second penalty. But down this very long straight, it feels, well, as Super GT said, like blooming birth, like giving birth. That's how painful it is when you have a penalty down that straight. And so we had to serve that, but was able to get past our punter. And then, much like in the 24-hour, we see a Porsche go into the wall at that sort of final corner of this lap. Of course, in the real life 24-hour, it was because he had a puncture. But again, we'll have a replay of what happened here because, again, carnage-filled race. We've got the Porsche and the Golf livery that goes off. I get past the Supra, sorry, I thought it was the GTR, it's not, it's the Supra. And then we had the Porsche ahead, which joined with us after he made a mistake. So 6th was certainly in sight here. And then again we had this guy go into the wall here at the last turn. So an unfortunate mistake for him, but I'm sure he'll be able to catch up. So currently sitting in P7 as we go on to lap 2, and we had our good man Johnny Be Good in front of us in the Supra. I'm sure he's going to have an illustrious career in racing rather than being a country singer, but there you go. He was making a decent amount of mistakes here, which allowed me to catch up to him fairly quickly. And so, yeah, it was all about catching him, seeing if we could get 6th position, which I'd be pretty happy with considering we got punted off at turn 1 at the start. And then again he goes back onto the racing line after he went off there, which is so annoying. And then, well, I mean, it doesn't matter anyway because he misjudged his braking zone there, and Johnny Be Good was having a nice countryside scene, I think, as he went off and he was out of the picture. So yeah, again, decent position now that we're up to 5th. But we do have the French Porsche up behind us, and he was able to gain a lot of time over this lap, so he was clearly a quick driver, that was for sure, but it was all just about trying to catch up to him, make sure that he's or trying to pull away from him, should I say, while he was catching up to us. And then through here I thought he might make a move, but again he was a bit too far back, and then into this corner I knew he was going to make a move, so I decided to pull out of that one to make sure that both of us were safe, because obviously 6th is still a pretty decent position in this race, especially compared to how at the start. And as you could see, he's just pulled away through the second half of this race, where again I'm just not very good at. And so yeah, coming out of this chaotic race, somehow I was able to grab myself a P6 when I started P7, got punted off at turn 1, making me go down to last, and now I went down all the way up to 6th. So yeah, I was pretty starstruck with this performance. But somehow it changed to 5th here, and I'm not entirely sure how, because no one ahead had a time penalty as far as I'm aware. They sort of just, I don't know, lagged out or something, and then it made it so I got 5th instead. I mean, I'm not complaining, it meant that I went up 2 positions, which obviously helps my driver rating, but yeah, I was pretty confused as to why that had happened, if I was honest. But yeah, there you go. That has been my time at the 24-hour layout for Daily Race C. Really enjoyed going back to Gran Turismo, and just in general going back to F1, and I've also been playing a little bit of Need for Speed, and I'm going to make sure to do some videos, because I haven't actually ever done an F1 22 video, and the 23 game's just around the corner, so I probably will buy that one. And therefore, if you want to see some of that content, and if you did like this video, then be sure to hit the like button, comment on anything you enjoyed below, subscribe for all of my content. Till then, goodbye.